Hello, Power Rangers fans. Well, look, I feel like this is the time that we've all been waiting for. It's going to be an exciting moment. The trailer for the Once and Always special, which is a Power Ranger special, it's going to be 55 minutes. It's going to be separate away from the Power Ranger series, so it's its own individual thing. It's a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers special, 55 minutes, called Once and Always. I want to do just a conversation because it's not a reaction because I've seen it already. Look, we're just going to jump into this. We're going to play the trailer. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it here with me. I've seen it, but I want to share it with you guys. It's good. I'm going to talk a little bit through it, but I want, for those who haven't seen it before, I want you guys to see it. So look, I'm starting the trailer right now.
After all these years, I found a new body.
Wait, a Repulsa?
No, it can't be.
Oh, God.
It's
I
time
love
for
seeing when it
revenge.
gets behind it. Now, I can't even believe they had the guts
She
to do
killed
this.
Mom. We gotta destroy
Clearly in
her.
the trailer,
This is Ranger business,
they're
okay?
showing that
Let us sort
Trini
this out.
has been
Rita's
killed.
creating a time
Yeah, I can't
portal.
believe
I'll
that.
kill you before Zorda makes you Ranger.
We gotta make sure Rita doesn't hurt anybody else.
Attention, Power Rangers! Get to your
Now, this is
assigned
awesome. We got a
stations
Bandor
now.
protocol.
Once
we
a
got the
Ranger,
Japanese
Always a
Sentai
Ranger.
version. It's morphin' time.
It's
Oh,
morphin'
I
time.
love it.
Your move,
Just watching Zach morph,
You wanna fight?
which
You
I'll go
found
into more
one.
detail about that.
You got this. Good luck. Now it's a reunion.
So many.
Messing with this
Juice
place?
Bar. The fact that
It's
they
a big
brought the
mistake.
Juice Bar back really shows that they really thought about this. Like they really took some time to give that nostalgia feel, which is really wonderful. And the Megazord, I'd known a little bit about this,
Don't worry.
but I didn't know
Say
that the
the word
Megazord
before.
was going to be shown. I didn't know that the Megazord was in the episode. So the fact that they're showing the Megazord is, to me, a testament of how far time's come that they could just throw it on Netflix. Netflix special, April 19th. Look, I mean, words can't express how excited I am for this. There's so many things that I want to talk about. We'll just start off with the basics. Look, if you don't know, Thuy Trang died in 2001 in a car accident. I think it was September 3rd, 2001 in a car accident. So, rest in peace to Thuy Trang, but now we're talking that was 21 and a half years ago. So the fact that they're addressing it within Power Rangers, the storyline that Trini is going to be sacrificing herself. And let's talk about this part, right? Like, it looks like Trini is sacrificing herself to save Billy. Now, if you know the original Power Rangers, Billy and Trini were hand over fist. They were tight. I almost thought that, I feel like if Trini would have stayed and Trini didn't go to a peace conference, Trini and Billy would have ended up being a couple. Just as cute and adorable as Tommy and Kimberly, but to me, there was this just mutual understanding between Billy and Trini. They just understood each other. And that was actually beautiful because really, Billy didn't really, especially in those early episodes, Billy didn't have anybody who understood Billy except Trini. So to me, that was really the big foundation for a relationship. Now, the fact that she's got a daughter, we're acknowledging that, years have passed, time has passed, and I love that it's kind of like Uncle Zach. It's kind of like Uncle Zach and Uncle Billy, or maybe Uncle William. It's Uncle William has come into the room. Uncle William is there to talk to, his niece, Trini's daughter, and just to see these two, I know that they were considered, teenagers with attitude, but to see these two grown men who we haven't seen on Power Rangers. We haven't seen Zach in Power Rangers since he left and went off to a peace conference 28 years ago. We haven't seen Billy on Power Rangers since 96, so that was 27 years ago, or I can't count, but it was 1996 that he left Power Rangers. That's a long time, and there are so many things that have gone on that caused them to leave that toxic work environment that was Power Rangers. Briefly, if you don't know, David Yost, who played Billy, was basically, he's a gay man, and he was mistreated because of his sexuality. and he was made fun of, and he was kind of targeted, and a lot of just cruel things were done. So one day he just walked off set in the middle of lunch and said, "I'm not coming back," and then didn't come back. So they had to write Billy out of the show because David Yost just walked off set, and rightfully so. He shouldn't have been mistreated that way. So, enough is enough. You can only take so much. If you don't know, Walter Jones, who plays Zach, he originally left Power Rangers because the show was non-union. And what that means, if you don't know anything about how the union and SAG and Screen Actors Guild works, well, there's non-union shows which the union protects you. So when you're non-union, you're not getting protected with certain rights, inalienable rights that you would have as a union actor. So they were trying to make the show union as much as the show made. The show made $1 billion in its first year. So as much as the show made, a lot of the actors were trying to get the show to go union, have more rights, have more, either money and protection. There's a story not a story, Amy Jo Johnson, y'all know her as Kimberly the Pink Ranger, and David Yost, the original Blue Ranger. They almost got electrocuted on set in an episode, and it was pretty much just glossed over because there was no protection for them. There was nothing to protect them, so the union makes sure you got health benefits, dental benefits, just basically make sure that as an actor, you're protected. So the show was non-union. Once they started making a lot of money, they could have made it union. The original three were trying to, Jason, Zach, and Trini, Walter Jones, Austin St. John, and Thuy Trang, they were trying to get the show to go union. Things went bad. I actually got a video, I'll probably play that right here, where I talked to Walter Jones about it in a Comic-Con about a couple years ago.
Did you guys know how much of an impact you would have when you were leaving the show, when each of you individually left the show? Did you know how actually it might have devastated? Some of us might have cried. Not me, maybe some of them, but not me.
You know what? We didn't want to leave the show. We didn't intend to leave the show. And I think it broke our hearts that we ended up leaving the show. And it was a renegotiation of contracts. In the end, it became so messy and weird, and that it wouldn't have been right to even come back at that point. So it was harm. I mean, it hurt us because we didn't want to go. I mean, we obviously wanted to do the movie. We wanted to do it, but in the end, with the negotiations, it just didn't work out. And then, I figured that the fans would be devastated because you guys have fallen in love with us. We are what created the show. We had a chemistry that was proven and unbroken, and what we had created is what made the show excel to where.
And that's how Rocky, Adam, and Aisha showed up. And then really the situation becomes the other three got fired. These new three get the job. Those are the ones who ended up in the movie. And then what ends up happening is basically everybody who stayed around ended up leaving for the exact same reasons kind of that the original three left. So it was like, oh, you guys did try to warn us about how bad it was, and it just got worse. So yeah, it's a sad thing. So that's what makes this also exciting, is that this is a union show. They got union rights, which is why they also got a little bit more money behind it, and is why Walter Jones and David Yost came back, because now it's owned by Hasbro, and now this is a union production, so that means they're protected. So that's just a lot to say about how far we've come, because people's voices have now been heard. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more. That was just a little behind the scenes. Let's go talk a little bit more now. As you know, Jason David Frank passed away, November of last year. This was filmed before Jason Frank passed away, but Jason Frank did say publicly, even before, while the production was going on, that he didn't want to be a part of the 30th anniversary. So even before he died, he was talking about the 30th anniversary.
Maybe the way I should talk. So when I go back to, if I'm not, but they want me to go back to a 30th year anniversary, I'm going backwards. I want to be Eric Reed, and I don't want to cover my skin up no more. And I don't want to be on a kid's TV show. You'll always have it. Let's get something older for us. For me, darker, grittier, that's what we're doing. And the only person to do it, Pattinson.
Now, do I think that if he was still here, he would have done something? Absolutely. I think that the way Jason Frank loves the franchise, I think that the way he takes ownership of the character Tommy, I think he would have found some way to honor the show in his own way without compromising what it was that he was trying to accomplish. So, rest in peace to JDF. All Power Ranger fans are still healing, and it's never going to be the same. We all know that. We all are just kind of accepting that as death happens, life has to move on. But it's not for a lack that we don't think about Jason Frank every single day. So, the other thing is it looks like Rita is back, and we're talking this Robo Rita, and I love the fact that they got the original lady to do the voice of Rita. That, once again, people leave for certain reasons, not getting treated right, or characters being written out for other reasons. So the fact that they took the time and effort to say, you know what, you created this character, Barbara Goodson, let's bring you back to do the voice. Alpha, the guy who did the voice of the original Alpha, same thing. He's back. That was Alpha's original voice, so it feels good. It feels like the old squad is back. Now, I know some of you are like, well, where's Amy Jo? I don't know what Amy Jo's issue is, whether she wanted to come back or what the situation is. She put out a tweet about it, and, that was it. But Austin St. John, as you know, who played Jason, was going through some legal issues with the PPP situation, so that's why he's not in it. Could he have a part still? He absolutely could, but that situation prevented him from flying overseas because he was not allowed to leave the country. So I think that the best thing that's happening is, even though you don't have all of the originals, and that's okay, the beauty of the first 3 seasons of Power Rangers is that there's so many Rangers in there that you can switch them out. This is a dream for me. My first Power Rangers dream was to have the originals come back. And by originals, for me, it was Zach. I always wanted to see Zach come back. I always wanted to see him don the Mastodon, put on the Black Ranger helmet. I always loved that. And it was something that I never thought was going to happen. So I'm super excited because Walter Jones, a lot of kids now have Black Panther as a superhero. For me, it was Walter Jones because he was the first Black live-action superhero. I was 9 years old when Power Rangers came out. And to see a Black guy on TV who was a superhero, who was not only capable as a physical fighter, but he was charming and he was funny. And, some of the best episodes of the original season are with Zach, and he could get along, he could fit in with Billy, who was super smart. Zach may not have been the smartest guy, but he was capable. He may have not been the leader, but he knew how to talk to Jason and talk to Tommy and connect with everybody. And he was strong enough and noble enough to protect the ladies, but also smart enough to let them protect themselves because he knew that they were capable. So look, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. This really hits the feels for me. I'm going to get really emotional watching it because I'm so happy that I've been watching people talk about Power Rangers all day long. And obviously this is something that if you were born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s, you were up on Saturday mornings. You couldn't even get up Monday through Friday for school on time. But on Saturday mornings, you were up, you had your breakfast, and you were watching Power Rangers. So for all of those kids in that generation, this is for us. We old now. Some of us don't have hairlines. Some of us still got it. Fine for you, still got it. But, this is for us, and I hope that it brings out a new generation of Power Rangers fans so that the new generation can kind of see why it was a big deal, why Power Rangers was worth getting up before school. I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to do some more reactions, some more things, not just Power Rangers, Marvel too. Look, I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I appreciate you guys sticking around with me. Look, I want you to be kind to everybody except the racists because we ain't got time for them. Y'all make sure y'all have a good night.